Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video we are going to be going through my makeup collection. This is going to be split into a couple of parts. So part one is going to be all of my palettes, and then we will go into my second compartment where I keep all my makeup in terms of like my blushes, my bronzers and all that. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. If you do, feel free to give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell to be notified when I upload a new video. But anyway, let's get into it. So this is where I keep a majority of my makeup. This is just a storage container I got from the Reject Shop, and this is where I keep all of my eyeshadow palettes and face palettes. So pretty much any palette that I own, I keep in here. So let's start off with the first drawer, shall we? So when you pull the first drawer out, I just have all of my big palettes. So let's jump into it. So the first palette I have is the BYS Barbie palette. And this is what it looks like when you open it up. You basically have a row of neutrals on this side, you have a highlight and two blushes on this side, and then you have a row of like pinks and purples on this side. I have tried this palette out before, it's not too bad. I feel like I need to experiment with it a little bit more, but so far so good. Everyone really likes this palette, so yeah, that is my first palette that I have. The next palette I have in here is my Morphe 35XO Natural Flirt palette, which just looks like this. Very pink, very me. I just recently bought this palette. I am loving it so far. And I think this will definitely be my palette for 2021 because I just love all the shades in here. A lot of neutral browns, a lot of rose golds and rosy tones and champagnes. And that is pretty much just me in a palette. So really loving this palette at the moment. The next palette I have in here is my Morphe Jaclyn Hill palette. I think everyone knows what this looks like, but in case you don't, it is just a very neutral palette, a lot of neutral shades. I really enjoy this palette. I would like to delve more into this palette in this new year, so we'll see how it goes. But this is just a perfect palette to take with you. You've got pretty much every shade you need. You've got a couple of colors if you're not really into color, which I'm not really into color. So this is basically why I picked up this palette, so I can start introducing color into my makeup. The last palette I have in this drawer is my Chi Chi Aphrodite Goddess of Love and Beauty palette. This is my Project Pan palette. Unfortunately, I have not really made much progress on this, but if you haven't watched my Pan That Palette video, this is basically what the palette looks like. Very pretty much the same as the Natural Flirt, but a lot more warmer tones, which I really like. So this is my 2021 Pan That palette. If you haven't watched that video, feel free to go watch it and check it out, because the theme for that video is tiny pans, and as you can see, tiny pans. So this is my 2021 Pan That palette. That is basically it for drawer number one. Now onto drawer number two. This is where I keep a majority of my other palettes. So I guess we'll start with my Too Faced palettes. This is the Too Faced Chocolate Bar palette, and this is the progress I've made on it. I am kind of happy with the progress. I would really like to delve more into this palette because I've had this palette since 2016, and yeah, I'm starting to get a little bored with Too Faced palettes, so I'd really like to start using them up if I can. Still smells good though. The next Too Faced palette I have in here is my Sweet Peach palette. I think everyone has seen it. I don't really reach for this one anymore. I have not used up the shade Puree. My cousin accidentally dropped the palette and it smashed the shade and I couldn't save it, so that was sad. But yeah, I would really like to also get some use out of this palette this year if I can. I really want to show some love to this palette because I think it's starting to turn a bit and I just really want to get some use out of it. The next palette we have in here is my Too Faced Gingerbread Spice palette. I really have not made much progress with any of these palettes. This is why I'm doing Project Pan this year, so I can really give some love to some of these shades and some of these palettes. But this is what it looks like. Very, very glitzy. So I really want to try and get some use out of this palette, that's for sure. The last Too Faced palette I have in here is the Gingerbread Extra Spicy palette. And this is what this one looks like. I really love this shade here called Drizzled. It's a burnt rose gold and I love that. So I really want to get some use out of this palette as well this year. Let's see how we do with some of these palettes, because apart from my Pan That palette, I'd really like to give some love to some of my other eyeshadow palettes. The next palette I have in here is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Modern Renaissance. I think everyone and their mother is getting really tired of this palette, and you know what, I don't blame them. I really want to start hitting pan on a lot of my eyeshadows, and this one is definitely no exception. So I'm not going to give this one too much time. Everyone has seen what this looks like and everyone's getting bored of seeing it, including me. The next eyeshadow palette I have in here is my Naked Heat. I love this palette to death. Although I have not hit pan in any of these shades, I really need to get my butt into gear and really start using more of my eyeshadows. But I do love this palette. I love using it in the summer and the autumn because it's just the perfect palette for that. So I'm definitely gonna kick my butt into gear and use up some of these eyeshadows because I think I have too many. The next palette we have in here is the Bare Minerals Bare Essential palette. I have had this since 2016. This was the very first product I picked up when Mecca opened up. So this is like my little gift to myself. I do love this palette. It has so many nice neutrals in it, so I definitely want to get some use out of this one. The next palette I have in here is the e.l.f. Nude Rose palette. This is meant to be like a dupe for the Naked 3. So this is meant to be like a dupe for the Naked 3 palette, I believe. And as you can see, really haven't delved into this too much. Really want to delve into a lot of my shadows this year. But I do like this palette. It's very pigmented and it's just great for everyday use. And it fits perfectly in my makeup bag. The next palette we have in here is my Maybelline Nudes of New York palette. This is such a pretty palette. I definitely want to get some use out of this one. Like, I'm not even joking when I say that. I definitely want to get some use out of this one. Like, I love this palette. I just haven't delved into it like a lot of them. But this is a great everyday palette. Perfect for autumn. A lot of autumnal colors. Great colors for autumn / fall, so this is definitely what I'm going to use in the autumn time. The next palette I have in here is my Revolution Rose Gold Chocolate palette, and that one pretty much looks like, and that pretty much looks like this. Hi, you can see my reflection. This palette I do enjoy using. I have used a bit of it since the end of 2020. This is the palette I was basically reaching for, but I would really like to use it up. Finally, the last palette we have in here, this is the, I can't pronounce the name of this, but this is a brow palette that my boyfriend got me for Valentine's Day, and I feel so bad because I haven't even touched this yet. Sorry, Tyson, but I will get to this at some stage, I promise. So that is everything in my second drawer. Hey guys, I do apologize. My battery died and then I completely forgot about it and forgot to pick the camera back up. So this is basically day 2 of me filming this video. The last drawer where I keep all of my palettes, so let's have a look. Okay, so in here is where I keep more of my palettes. So the first palette we have in here is the designer brand Champagne Glow. And this is what it looks like, just has all different names of brands of champagne, and it's rose gold, and I like it. I cannot wait to try it out. I got this as a Christmas present to myself. This is part of Designer Brand's Christmas line that they had last year. Next palette we have in here is my Maybelline blush palette. And yeah, so basically it comes with these 3 blushes and 1 highlight. I do enjoy using this. I would love to get some more use out of this year, definitely. My favorite color is probably the peachy color. I do enjoy that one quite a lot. I hope I will definitely get some use out of it. Might actually use the highlighting shade in here as my next highlight once I finish my Becca Moonstone highlight, so look out for that. Next palette we have in here is the BYX Barbie Face Palette, and it just looks like this. I have tried this out. I don't mind the bronzer in here. It's not too muddy, which I like. Some of the blushes are okay. This highlight is really pretty, except it's very hard to use because it's like a wet formula. And this highlight here is nice too. So this is definitely a good palette if you are looking for a face palette on a budget. If you can still get this, I don't know what the go is with the BYS Barbie collection. I just know that they've been popular. So if you can find this, would definitely recommend, especially for a beginner. The next palette we have in here is my Mecca Maxima eyeshadow palette. I basically got this as a gift from Mecca. I haven't really delved much into this because I don't think it's as pigmented as I like it to be, but I might delve more into it and see what I think. But so far I have not really been enjoying this palette, so we'll see. If anyone's tried this palette, feel free to comment down below and let me know your thoughts on this palette, whether I should keep it or declutter it. Feel free to let me know. The next palette I have in here is my Australis Mesmerize palette. This is meant to be a dupe for the Huda Beauty Nudes palette. I do enjoy this. I have used it a few times. As you can see, I really like these purpley shades and this pink shade. I will definitely want to get some more use out of this palette because Australis is just amazing quality. And actually, I do have a video request to film a tutorial with this palette, so if you guys want to see that, give this video a thumbs up and let me know down in the comments that you want to see that tutorial because I definitely need to film that one. The next palette we have in here is my Huda Beauty Mercury Retrograde palette. This was a Christmas gift from my boyfriend, not last year, but the year before. This is what it looks like. I love this palette. I delve into it when, if I just want like a natural everyday look, I will just delve into this brown shade here and use my caramel eyeshadow stick from Laura Mercier. But if I want more of like a fun sort of look, I will definitely dive into like more of the glitzy shades and just have a bunch of fun with this palette. I do love it, would definitely recommend it. Finally, the last palette we have in here is the BYS Mocha palette. This, to me, looks like a dupe for the Morphe Mocha palette that they have. I saw this when I was in Dramana and I was like, I really need to get this. I love my browns. I love my like neutral champagne kind of colors, and this is just good for everyday wear. So that's everything that is in that drawer. So that's everything I have in terms of eyeshadow palettes and face palettes in general. And that is all for part 1 of my makeup collection. If you guys enjoyed this video, definitely give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, hit the bell to be notified when I upload a new video. And stay tuned for part 2 where I will go over my blushes, my single shadows, my foundations, primers, all other things, just general makeup. And yeah, stay tuned for that video. Till then, I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.